Even though the U.S. lost in this game, it was such an amazing performance by this goalie.
Yeah, a historic performance. Yeah. 16 saves, not just a history-making for an American, which is the context we usually talk about soccer, because we just can't compete on the world stage with history-making performances. But Tim Howard did. This was the best performance by a goaltender in a World Cup of anyone from any country in nearly 50 years. And what makes it even more amazing to me, Brianna, was that he did this with the Tourette's syndrome that he's been so open about. Now, the stereotype of Tourette's syndrome is that people swear a lot uncontrollably. That actually only affects about 10% of Tourette's sufferers. 90% are like Tim Howard, where it's just uncontrollable physical movements, twitches, things like that. And unfortunately, those come out more when you are under stress, like, I don't know, one of the biggest games of your life. So Tim Howard was very open after the match about talking about how his Tourette's was acting up a little bit more. And the way he controlled it is that when the ball was in the Belgian end, he would sort of let his body go and do what it wanted to. And then when he was facing all of those shots, he was able to employ that body control. So amazing to me that he was able to put in the performance he did when his body wasn't necessarily listening to him. And then coming out and talking about it afterward, he said it was important to him to bring it up, to make sure that kids out there, other people with Tourette's know that, hey, you can do absolutely anything with this condition. And after seeing him, I can't argue, right?
And that's what I love about him so much, is that he's such an inspiration to so many kids who are battling Tourette's syndrome. And he's become a celebrity. It's amazing. He has this celebrity status now, right?
Yeah, I mean, how do we judge anything these days, right? The internet. So the internet has gone crazy for Tim Howard. And one of my favorites was you go to the Wikipedia page of the Secretary of Defense.
That's great.
Usually a photo of Chuck Hagel in there. Someone replaced Tim Howard's picture. And you got to give Chuck Hagel credit. He thought this was funny, too. So today, he actually called Tim Howard. He talked to him. He told him, thank you for defending our country. He told him, hey, you put in a little work. You could be the real Secretary of Defense one day. And he wasn't the only politician to get in on the act. President Obama called Tim Howard and Clint Dempsey, the striker, to tell them thank you for representing our country, not just on the field, but representing it so well off the field as well. And then, of course, everybody else had to get their say into, we have Mount Howard instead of Mount Rushmore. He was put on the dollar bill, being in Tim We Trust, so there's a little bit of that. And then there's also what else can't Tim Howard saved. So, there were some memes of him saving Ned Stark from Game of Thrones. Valerie Jarrett, the President Obama's advisor, actually posted her own meme, which I love. Here's Ned Stark, but Valerie Jarrett then posted one where he was saving Zoe from House of Cards. So you got to like the inside politics angle as well. Everyone's getting in on the act.
It would have changed the whole plot line of that show.
Exactly.
Points to Hagel, though, because he made the phone call holding a soccer ball. So that was certainly to be noted. A lot of people, I bet, are wondering what's ahead now that they know who Tim Howard is. What's he going to be looking for?
Yeah, well, he's 35 years old. So going into this World Cup, the perception was, hey, this is Tim Howard's last go. He's given a ton of service to the national team. This is probably the last time we'll see him in a World Cup. He'll still play for his Premier League team, Everton, and maybe in some national games. Then all of a sudden, this thing goes crazy. And Tim says, you know what? He's really energized by this young team, so he's going to take some time to think about it. And frankly, he said he's been energized by the fans and the support as well. Here's a little bit more from the interview he gave with CNN earlier today.
We felt it down here. We've seen all the highlights, and all of our friends have sent us videos, and we've seen YouTube and all the bars and the restaurants and the parks that have been sold out. It's been special, and that's been part of this amazing journey. Playing at the World Cup is special, but also being able to captivate the imagination, the hopes and dreams of a nation is really certainly part of that ride.
Amazing, right? To think that all of the people out there have maybe influenced Tim Howard to stick around. We'll have to see. Brianna, for now, though, he said he's just going to take it easy with his family and get a few more tattoos. That's all he's going to decide so far.
I don't think there's room.